If you live in poverty, if you live in a very violent society, a violent neighborhood, one of the recommendations we tell women in regards to looking at helping to improve birth outcome is to go out and exercise, go for a walk, eat healthy. Well, if you live in a community that going for a walk is going to cause you more stress because of the violence, how can we get them to do that? If you tell them to eat healthy and you live in a community where there's not any grocery stores that have fresh food, how can you do that?
Only 5% of Americans get the CDC's recommended amount of activity each week. Raise your hand if you get the recommended. It's 150 minutes of vigorous activity. So we got a smattering of 5%ers.
We cannot afford to not empower and respect the authoritative voices of the community. People know what's going on in their communities, and they do have some ideas of what should be done.
Men are vanishing, and where are the fathers? And there are no good men, and this becomes the mantra of a lot of the young women in our society. And are men's obsolete, dangerous, and incarcerated and on drugs? And this becomes the psychological landscape that many people begin to think of fathers, men, as fitting into that paradigm, that schema.
Every violent experience, every traumatic episode, everything that we would consider horrible as adults is magnified in the life of this child and in their brain. And there's actual rewiring of the circuitry of the brain.
Where you live, who you're around, really impacts your lifestyle and your behaviors. And when we talk about infant mortality, when we talk about unintended pregnancy, if we start at that area, I'm more like, we need to talk about why people have sex in the first place. We gotta talk about why young folks are choosing or not choosing to have sex in the first place. And until you understand that for your individual community, then all your programs won't necessarily get to the upstream factors as to why these things are occurring.
Because anytime you have any child die at the dawn of life, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy not only for the young life, but it's a tragedy for the family members, it's a tragedy for the healthcare providers, it's a tragedy for public health. And anything that we can do to really highlight the needs in this area, and certainly our collective responsibility, is a call to action.
In the Black community, the church remains a very major influence, and we as African Americans continue to go to church and spend our time and give our money, and yet we don't have the churches as they were with the civil rights movement. They are not involved in the health of their parishioners.